Welcome to season 2 of Ballin on a Budget drift car build. We have our RX-7 sitting here, leaves on it, the snow is finally clearing, and I have 1 month to put power to this thing. So with no further ado, let's not stink around here and let's get this thing the heck out of here. We're bringing in the donor car.
Last season we got the car drifting, but there is something missing.
So this thing's gutless.
This season we fix all those problems. And more. Find out. Hater V8, bro. This season, it's all about fixing that mistake. By doing what? We thought about putting a turbo on, but that was just going to be too much money. We were looking at minimum $4,000. We looked at Japanese, but that was also going to be at least $3,000 just for the motor and tranny. We were thinking something a little cheaper. What if we could do this for around $2,500. Sound impossible? Slightly. But that's also why we did not go with an LS.
Okay, so now we've got the car off the ground. Threw it on some jack stands to be safe. We've drained the coolant, drained the oil, which there wasn't much of oil in there. And we removed the hood because pulling an engine on a car like this that's so stuffed in there, it's gonna be a nightmare. So almost as much of a nightmare as trying to put this into the RX-7. Probably a little bit tighter for this one. Anyway, so I mean, we've got a few things taken off here. We took off the top of the intake here. So yeah, we've got a couple things taken off here. We've got the intake taken off. So now that we have the coolant drained, we can start pulling the rad hoses off, and we can start getting everything out of the way. Prepare to pull the rad out. As soon as we start pulling the rad out, then things are going to start happening. We're going to get enough room in here to start disconnecting things. Easiest thing right now you see is this is not covered up, but I'm going to get a glove and plug that because I'm going to get a lot of comments about that. So yeah, we want to get this sort of, we want to start getting this going here, get as much done as we can, try to disconnect as much of the harness as we can, and yeah, we're just going to go from there. So here goes nothing. Okay, so let's go ahead. I already pulled the bottom rad hose off. I'll pull the top one off there. And there's only a couple bolts holding this in, just brackets like these down here. I think anyways. So. And I was proven wrong. So there's a couple of hard lines, probably transmission. I gotta undo those. now that I've somewhat dealt with the transmission lines and the oil leaking all over the floor, now I can start pulling this radiator out. One down. Electric fan. I don't have that in my car. Hello. We're on to another day. It's a little chilly outside. We've been having some stupid weather. Welcome to Canada, beginning of spring. So, you know, this is a couple days into March now, and well, we've got a bit of work ahead of us, so I'll give you a quick rundown. You already know about the rad. Pulled the rad out. Have a flashlight somewhere, but so down at the bottom is the AC unit. Took that out. Disconnected it. I don't have any way of draining the AC refrigerant out of it, so I don't want to vent it to atmosphere because you don't want to help depleting ozone gases and all that stuff. So I've just disconnected the AC because I'm not going to use it in the drift car, let's be honest. And I'm sure somebody out there probably... No, I don't care. I'm going to scrap the car, so I don't really care. Anyways, so just a quick bit here. So to undo the wiring harness, I had to lift these lines up, undo this plug here. It was attached down here, and there was one other plug to disconnect right over here. So that's all done. The only thing really left I've got to do, I've got to disconnect the fuel lines. Someone said just to cut them. I'll probably end up having to do that anyways because, well, I need these fuel lines because I need to hook up to the RX-7, so I'm going to need something with these connectors on them. So I do have the kit to undo that properly, but I might end up cutting it. So a couple things. Had to disconnect the transmission linkage, the fuel, or the accelerator pedal. I'm probably going to reuse that in the other car. I've got a bunch of things. I'm just going to start tearing a bunch of stuff out of here because basically this car is going to the scrapyard, and whatever stuff I can save from this that I don't have to buy, that I can sort of cut up and reuse in the other car, is going to save me so much money. One of the most frustrating things about this and pulling this engine though was the exhaust. Under the exhaust on the driver's side, there is a bolt that you can get at from the top way down there. If you're going to pull the exhaust manifold off, or the downpipe, sorry, I should be very clear. The downpipe from the exhaust manifold, if you're going to disconnect that, undo that top bolt first. Big pain. So what I had is I tried to undo the bottom one first, snapped the bolt. Then I couldn't loosen it off because I had to use a bunch of swivels to get down. I had to use a swivel down at the bottom, and because the exhaust was loose, it locked up against the side of the the shock tower, and I couldn't break it loose. And like I tried a lot. I don't have a torch here, so I don't have that sort of option. Now, one thing that I've very rarely used. I've had this tool probably since before I started working on cars, and I've only ever used it a couple times, and I feel like the last time I had this was for a Thunderbird way back in the day. And I think that was the last time actually when I had to do the head. Anyway, that was years ago. Terrible, terrible thing to have to use. This is a nut buster. Yeah, that sounds terrible, doesn't it? So I use this, I split the nut on the exhaust downpipe to get that to come off. Because I had no way to get in there and cut that thing off. Too tight to get a grinder in. I couldn't get my Sawzall in there, so I had to do that. It was just the worst fight to get it out. The sensors were tough to get out. It was not fun. There was a lot of frustration there. So I ended up cutting the back of the exhaust off because I'm going to take the cats in, get money for it. Now what I'm doing is I'm disconnecting the drive shaft. I've got that done because I'm taking the diff out because this is a full float. It's an 8.8, so I can use that in the drift car. There is a kit on grannyspeed.com that you can make that work with the FC, and obviously it's a way better diff than what I've got in the FC right now. If that lasts until I can afford to buy that part there, I hope so, but I doubt it. So yeah, so basically right now I've got all my fluids drained. I just have to disconnect my fuel lines, a couple vacuum lines, and I have to undo the transmission mount, get that out of there, which I'm going to do now. And then I got to hook the engine hoist up and we can rip her right out. So that's what I'm doing right now. So I gave you a bit of an update. This isn't a very much how-to video. It's more like I got to get this done, and I've been spending way too much time and making too many excuses because I'm into March now and I have till April to get this car done with a swap included, and it'll be a shock if I get this going. So let's get to it. Alright, so we're at the point where we're pulling the engine. Let's hope everything goes well. If you guys like carnage, you'll probably see something.